So this movement is a movement of people. It's a movement of a forgotten people. That's what I want you guys to know. And now you've woken up and you've said, shit, you mean we've been living and we know that we have the strength? So now these awakened people, you can go with these awakened people somewhere and negotiate. So instead of giving instructions, you can be the one making the decisions. So move away from you trying to tell the president what to do. The negotiation here is how much are we sharing? We want some seats at the IEBC. I mean, you want people who look like you, people who speak like you. That's what we want, that representation. We want seats in government. We want all these people situated somewhere. So the conversation here is not about Raila or Ruto. The conversation is that this group of people have come in, and this group of people, if used the right way, you can make some magic with it. So I don't even know why, Ekuru, you're struggling with it. Because for you, I would have thought you would have seen this like this, because especially with that bill of yours.
Kibe, I don't know what you are saying. What I'm struggling with, I don't know. I mean, unless you expound, I think Kibe, I want to take you on that, because what am I struggling with?
Okay, hold up, Ekuru. I'll come back to that. Buire. So I'll just clarify. All right, go ahead, Buire.
Yeah, so the problem here is people are a bit skeptical, because at the moment, the first time we went into the streets and rejected the finance bill, it worked. But now the problem is, at our Kibe, you have to admit, the president now amechoma, because it's like he did not even listen to the problems the people had, because he just reappointed the same CSs when alikuwa ametoa. So I think the point of dialogue right now, I don't know how you're going to pull this idea so that we'll be able to capture all the Gen Zs to move in the same mindset that you're moving on at the moment. Because what do I feel like? Negotiation will not change anything.
Buire, what I want us to move away from trying to get the president to do things for us. Let's move away from that. So we stop telling him to be a good guy, or to not be corrupt, or to not be anything. He is not our president. He is their president. So he's doing what's in their best interest. It's in your best interest every weekend for your grandma in Shags to get 200 bob from sitting for 3-4 hours listening to these guys. It's in her best interest. She looks forward to it. She probably bought her last dress knowing, Ruto is coming this weekend. So for them, this is a working system, and it has been working for a long time. So when I hear you guys trying to tell the president who to appoint, I'm like, he is not your president. Get that through your head. So he is not listening to you. So the only way you can get anyone who listens to you is to get your people inside there. People who will listen to you.
No, but then Kibe, that's a misnomer. Listening you. If he is not our president,
let me Google misnomers. You make yourself.
So if he's not our president, as you say, then why is Anthony and the rest suggesting that we sit down on the table with him? I mean, so we need to kick him out. I mean, but constitutionally and legally speaking, William Ruto is our president. Let's not lie ourselves about that. It's a fact. Now we need to go into...
He's not the Gen Z president. He's the president of everybody else and the president of the country. So he has a lot you can get from him. If you were to sit down with him today, you can negotiate and get a lot. So why don't you want to do that? Unless you say he's not your president, and then we cut off Nyanza, and we say, okay, from here, this is our country. How is it going to work, Ekuru?
No, Andrew, the Ruto is our president, the president of Kenya, whether you are a Gen Z or wherever you are. But the question really is that is he performing as was expected of him, as he promised? the answer is no, he is not. And that's why people are resisting. And that's why under the constitution of Kenya, we can say, you've lost our legitimacy, our approval as a president. So quit. And this question of dialogue, for me, is still it doesn't make sense. What are we dialoguing about?
Daktari, he is not quitting. Can you move on beyond that? He is not quitting.
But Andrew,
yeah,
why?
So
why?
Give us the option where he doesn't quit. Give us the option where he doesn't quit. That's the option I want to hear. But this member of quitting, that's wishful thinking, my guy.
The option of not quitting is that we occupy everywhere and everything until we push him out. We got the Tunisian. No, we got the Tunisian way because Andrew, as you will recall, for example, you may have read about a man called Mohamed Bouazizi in Tunisia, who sparked the Arab Spring revolution. And Arab Bouazizi, was just a fruit vendor. And he got so tired of the equivalent of our kanjo here in Kenya, and decided to, lit himself. And when the people of Tunisia got so angry with then their president, a dictator for 23 years, they told him, there is a plane parked at the airport. We're not going to kill you. You only have one-way ticket. Ruto can have the same option. So if he cannot quit, we tell him, KQ or whatever, there's a one-way flight, go wherever you want to go. I mean, that is the other option.
Now at least we are putting some clarity behind it, because telling people that he's going to quit is a lie. He's never going to quit. He's never just going to walk out of office. There's too much at stake. Okay, so forget about that option. So now, thank you, Daktari, for giving us the real option, because that's the only option.
Yeah, Ruto has been an absentee president, at least for the last 2 years. He has gone to more countries than he has gone to many counties in Kenya. I'm sure maybe he has interest in many of those countries. So some of them can adapt him. So we just tell him, if you cannot quit, by the way, take the next flight to choose the destination of the countries that you've been to.
And how are we doing that?
That's why we're having this conversation, and that's why the pressure point has to be there.
Yeah? Kibe, let me just add you. Daktari has given some wonderful options, Dr. Kurokot. He has said, we either tell him, one, to ship out and go to one of those countries. Okay, but there's one option you're not putting on the table. We tell him, as we occupy everywhere, we also occupying your state house and telling you, if you want people to stop occupying parliament, give me the stamps. If you want people to stop occupying JKIA, give me the stamp. We must use our numbers to work for our advantage. That's all I'm saying. We can occupy everywhere. I don't know. We want to occupy everywhere, but not at the table. Come on.
No, but you see, Anthony, the risk of being invited on to the table, and I'm sure Andrew knows this very well, you can find yourself being the dinner to be eaten. So either we join that table as diners, but not as part of the dinner.
My point exactly, Daktari. Now we are home, as Kibe says it. We are home. We want to join that table, not as even cutlery, as eaters. And what are we eating? What is on the menu? Working on employment for the young people, reducing the wage bill in this country. That is what we are eating. And we shall eat it until it fits, until we are satisfied.
But let's hear more. Let's hear more opinions, Anthony. I think let's invite more speakers. Yeah, we are hogging the space too much.
Eddie, take the mic.
Anthony, please.
Thank you very much. Unlike philosopher who was asking why do we need to change the constitution, roughly 14 years after the constitution coming into effect, I think we have every reason. For the last 14 years, what we've seen is that the wage bill has grown, because if you compare the period that we are in and before 2010, the wage bill was around 400 billion for the civil servants. But at the moment, we are around 1.2 trillion. We are actually at 1.17 trillion. So that is 4 times. Yet, that does not match up to the productivity of the economy or how fast the economy is growing. And as we have seen with this government, they are leaning more towards increasing taxes instead of, for example, making it, giving new companies from wherever a tax holiday of, let's say, 3 years. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Just Chris, you can't hear him. Huh?
Eddie's gone. So who was next?
Yes, no.
Hey, hold up. Chris. Chris. Anthony.
Okay, Min Radak. Have you?
Yeah, me, I can hear you. I can hear Chris. I can hear Eddie.
Okay, tell Chris to drop off and then come back.
Min, can you hear me?
Yeah. So instead of
wait, Eddie, hold up 1 second. So Anthony, tell Chris to log off and come back.
Chris, can you hear me? Chris.
It's okay. Wacha nimtoe alafu atarudi. Eddie, go ahead.
Yeah, so what Ruto should be doing is to attract new companies from outside by, let's say, giving them a tax holiday of the first 3 years once they establish in the country, they establish their businesses in the country, so that he can be able to attract as many companies as possible. Because at the end of the day, people who will be employed in those companies will be paying taxes. So if he can then graduate that over time, where he can increase by, let's say, 5%, or let's say 10%, so that by the 6th year, they'll now be paying the 30% corporation tax. I mean, he's increasing taxes, and that will have a counter effect on what he's pursuing, which is basically collecting more revenue from the country. So my point is, if you look at the current status, one of the reasons why we should be clamoring for a referendum is to cut down on the wage bill. For example, we have 263 parastatals, and we cannot pinpoint one single thing some of these companies have achieved over the years. So we need to consolidate some of these companies and, of course, maintain some like the power generation companies and transport like KQ, though we've been pumping money over the years without seeing much improvement. So we also need to do away with one house. Why do we need 2 houses of parliament? Then we can do away with women rep, because I mean, when this finance bill came to parliament, one of the things that I would have expected the women parliamentarians to do is to vote against it, if for nothing else, the taxation on diapers and the sanitary towels.
Eddie, before we get into the nitty gritty, because now you're in the nitty gritty.
Yes.
Yeah, you're in the details.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And those details are supposed to be discussed by a different group of people, not us. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because we're building something here, and we're saying this is how the building is going to look. So these details that we're talking about, because your idea is not necessarily a good idea, it's just an idea, right?
Yes.
So we have to decide who are going to give the ideas, and then how are we going to decide which ideas are the best ideas for us to pursue. You get, like, even for,
I think what we should do.
Are you getting? So for me, I'm still stuck on the rules of engagement.
So I think what we should do, we should come up with a portal where ideas can be posted, because obviously we have so many forums happening. Then we can select people, like for example, you can select Law Society of Kenya to have a look at all those ideas and consolidate them into something concrete which we can move forward with. Because these ideas might be so many. Some of them might be the same. So I think we need to have a portal or a place where we can post these ideas to then have people who can look at them critically and know which or how they'll be able to consolidate them into something concrete. Kibe?
Wonderful, 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 wonderful. All right. There's a portal Nani was making. I don't know, James. And now, why I needed us to constitute this team was so that this team can make some decisions. Okay. Because even for now,
yes,
when we make a decision that we're going to use this portal, then that's the only portal that we're using. So we have to agree that this is the portal
yes,
that we're using. So before I even push James's portal, but I think we should just go ahead and push that portal. Why not? I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
James,
thank you very much.
James went ahead and created it. We might as well just start using it. He showed some initiative.
Then he should start sharing with different forums so that we can be as inclusive as possible.
Because James is here. Can James take the mic and just say how someone can get to your portal? It's on Telegram, I think. Yeah.
So what we've done so far, we've built a voting system based on blockchain. We're waiting for it to go live so that you'll be able to download the actual app. So as at now, there's a Telegram link that I've shared. So you can, if you're of same mind, join the link. There we'll post links to even
Where
the
have
back
you
end.
shared it, James?
I've pinned it up on you.
Thank you.
On this. Yeah, so you guys can join that, and then on that you'll find various demarcations, and we'll also share the links to the actual application. So if someone is in tech, they can check it out. Like, it's open source, anyone can open it, anyone can access it. So yeah. And also there's another one we're working on now that you mentioned about issues. So we are working on something that will sort of be a bot that will pick up on conversations happening on the Telegram. So every single suggestion or every single solution someone has, it will be picked up automatically. They will be like filtered through and matched problem with solutions, and then in order of how many people are talking about a certain issue. Like, the back end of it is a bit of a mambo jumbo, but the functionality will be 100% transparent.
Thank you, James. Daktari, are you seeing, imagine your bill with this technology. It's winning all the way.
You see, Anthony, I'm willing, like I said, I am
It's on a
willing
lighter
to
note,
relaunch
though.
it. Yes, I'm willing to relaunch. I'm willing to relaunch it. I mean, you guys just tell me that you will own it, so that, because it's about Kenya, it's not about Ekuru Aukot, to be honest.
So, James, I think you can liaise with Daktari, or you can, you know how to do it. You're better at tech than any of us, so that you can have his bill on the portal and on, you know, where we want it. I'm not very good with technological terms, but you get it. James, you want to say something?
Oh yeah, we'll create actually a subgroup right now for that bill in particular. Then Daktari, you'll add the bill. Then people can review the bill and also give their comments there, which we will be able to pick up with a bot like later on. And then Daktari and everyone else, I think people are still losing kidogo what we are trying to achieve here. We are not trying to come up with people to negotiate with the president. No, what we're trying to do is, you see, the same way there is Black Lives Matter. It's a movement that fights for Black lives. So we are trying to harness a movement that fights for the Kenyan citizen. So in whatever way that the fight has to be done, if there are bills to be prepared, you know, that has to happen. So we need lawyers, so we need to pay them, or we need, like, it needs to be organized. If there are demos happening, how do we support the demos? They need water, they need t-shirts. We have a unified budget to this. You see, the problem is everyone is thinking of everything as separate, but it should be one big machine moving in all directions. We have people doing investigations. We have people doing civic education. Because even what Mariam was saying is very true. Let's not lie to ourselves. There's still so much civic education that needs to be done. But we are relying on watu kujitolea And that won't be so effective. We will need to employ things like medical camps, road shows. We will need to be on various medias, various news. Hizi vitu zote zina need kupangwa. So what we are trying to do is to build the machinery, build the bus that will drive us towards achieving all these things and in an easier, quicker manner.
Wonderful, James. You know, every time you talk, I'm intrigued by your mind and how you see, how you simplify things. It's just wonderful. I love it. There's a guy here called Sammy. I'm seeing your hand up. You can take the mic. It will be Sammy, then Albert, then Fatuma.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. But most people don't call me Sammy. I'm Minister Radak. That is my name. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, Anthony. Thank you, Andrew Kibe, for hosting this space. And thank you, Dr. Ekurokot. I've been following what you're doing, and I'm aware you are one of the architects of this constitution, which was actually not supported by some of the leaders that we have in power currently. And that is what the point that I want to talk about. And I'm here to support strongly that Ruto must go. And when we talk about Ruto, we are talking about the whole political elites. We are talking about people like Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi. They are old people, and their ideas, we feel as youths, we feel like they are far-fetched. And there is a process and there is a plan of how we are going to do that. And afterwards, we know that after the Ruto resigns and followed by resignation of the deputy president, which we are going to also push for, the Speaker of the National Assembly is going to take the mantle for a period of 90 days. We are going to go into an election, and we are not afraid of the economic stumbles or hitches that we are going to get during that period of transition. But it is better to stumble at that period, but then get the freedom later, because this is a government that has shown a complete disregard for the rule of law, a complete disregard for humanity, and we cannot continue having them. And I want to strongly disagree with Andrew Kibe by prospecting a dialogue with the government. I want to disagree. I want to say there's no dialogue with this government. You cannot have a dialogue of how, for example, the government is disregarding, for example, things like the 300,000 people who attended the X Space that he manipulated. You get, he manipulated the X Space, but still people, 300,000 Kenyans joined that space, and he was saying that no one managed to join that space. So I want to disagree that there is no dialogue that there is nothing that a dialogue can reap with this government. So I want to support anyone who says Ruto must go, and we need to be strong with that, and we are ready to stick to that narrative, however long it takes. One thing I want to say, the reason why I'm against this government is because they've been lying to us. Number one, they've been lying that the only way for a republic, for example, to make money or to gain revenue is through taxes, and then they continue increasing that. That happens only with two reasons. One, either the government doesn't know that there are other alternative sources of revenue, or they know, but then they turn a blind eye to that, so that they continue raising money through taxes which are used in the government, whereas
Minister Radak.
So yes.
Nimeona umeanza kupotea njia kidogo. Ulikuwa umeenda vizuri, but now you're getting lost because now you're back to complaining about what the government does or doesn't do, right?
Okay.
So move away from that. Let's go back to the real conversation, which is, should we even think about just mute your mic for a second. Mute your mic, yeah, there we go. Right? So let's move away from that. Let's go back to what you said. You don't want anybody to negotiate with the government because the government lies to you. And then now you go into complaining about the government, which I'm saying this is nonsense. You cannot complain. You cannot say, I don't want to negotiate. And then you spend half your day complaining about what the government doesn't do for you. So my point here is this to you, and this is to everybody, is that you cannot convince this government that you didn't vote for to do anything the way you want them to do it. They are not going to be convinced by you because they didn't see you anywhere. They didn't see you at the polls. They don't see you when they go to the ground. So they don't know you. So when you're talking, so you better talk from a position of power, not from a position of weakness where you're begging the government to do something for you. Because that's how it sounds.
Kibe, can I interject?
Thank you, Kibe.
Kibe, can I?
Thank you, Kibe.
Who is this?
Can I interject, Kibe, before the speaker finishes his submissions?
Just hold on, Dr. Adi. Just 1 second. I want Minister Radak to finish that point, and then you can come in.
Okay, Minister. But I wanted to interject on what you've just said. But okay, go on, Minister.
Okay, let me go ahead. Thank you, Kibe, for that redirection. But then, before I attack the government, I have to pull it from a certain point of pain that I'm experiencing, for example. But I'll go ahead. I'm saying that I strongly say that we are not going for any dialogue, and that we want a complete change of the system, not just this government, but a complete change of the system. And I want to say, and I've been saying that the period that is coming forward is the period for the economic transformation and the political transformation of Kenya. So I want to encourage all youths to continue pushing
No. You see what you have, Minister Radak. Minister Radak. Just mute your mic for a second. You have talking points. So it's what you have talking points. That's why you are unable to have a real conversation, because you've come here with some talking points. That's why you keep going back to those talking points. Those are those things you hear in all other spaces where everybody is saying all these things. Bro, the reality on the ground, which is why I want, in fact, just let's go back to Daktari. The reality, break it down to us like we're children. Tell us what are our real options. Stop talking about Ruto must go. He's never going to go. Not the way you think he is. So real options. Ama tufunga hii space ba.
But Kibe, can I make a final point because I need to leave? Kibe, allow me to make a final.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So Kibe, I think first of all, let's not condemn any Kenyan who voted for this government, because to vote is an exercise of your political right under the Constitution. It does not mean you cannot ask the government to account for what they promised. So let's not keep it. So let's not restrict people from complaining about the government, whether they voted for this government or not. Doesn't matter. That is the whole question of accountability and our civic responsibility as people. So when people criticize the government, they call it out. Please, let's not call them out. It's okay. I think that's the point I wanted to make. And unless there is really a critical question on me, I want to beg to leave this.
Doctor, even as you leave, let me send you home with a point, okay?
Okay.
Because on one side, Minister, hold up. On one side, you say that you don't recognize this is a failed government. Minister Radak, mute your mic. Huh? Because on one side, you say this is a failed government, and on the other side, you complain about it. It's like complaining about a relationship you're not in. Why would you do that? Because now all we sound like, we all, hold up, Dr. Let me finish the point. Because you're complaining about a relationship you're not in. You're looking from outside and you're crying. And when the door is opened, you're like, oh no, but I don't want to come in. I don't want to come in. You didn't want me in the first place. No, you were not part of the conversation at the beginning. It was that simple. Gen Z were not a factor in the last election. Yeah. So,
No,
so
Kibe,
Gen Z, let me finish, Daktari. I mute my mic when you're talking. I don't know why you're not showing me the same courtesy, bro. Yeah. So Gen Z were not part of the equation when this, in the last election. They were not involved at anywhere. Yeah. Many of them voted, many didn't. But there was no Gen Z movement that could have influenced even one MCA or a politician. No, it was just kawaida. It was politics as usual. So the only difference right now is that this group has awakened. And this group is saying, hey, we have noticed that you guys have been screwing our parents, but not us. You're not going to screw us the same way. And the government woke up also and realized, shit, there's a whole constituency of people that we had not considered. The same way it's happening in all other countries around the world. So now we need to harness, and that's why I was really hoping, Ekuru, you'd take a different angle. Because I really wanted us to harness the power that is in this movement. Instead of losing our minds with them and being, and getting into the emotion of the moment, we offer direction. You tell them, okay, good, but these are our options. We can do this. That's what they want from us. Not for us to join them in the complaining. Because that's all we've done all our lives. All we do is sit and complain. You can see how it's coming so naturally to you. And you can't even go two sentences without going to that side. So let us take them out of that and stop the complaining and go to telling them what the real options are. Because the reality is more important than the lies we're going to feed them. Because once they realize we lied to them, what happens next? What happens after that?
Can I respond to you now?
They need us to be truthful. Yes, you can go ahead.
You see, Andrew, you are telling me that if a relationship has broken down, or as we lawyers call it, that if a marriage has broken down irretrievably, that I cannot walk away. But before I walk away, I must say exactly what happened to that marriage. Okay? And that's exactly what we are saying here. What we are saying is the marriage between Kenya and William Ruto as the president has broken down irretrievably. So Kenyans are saying we want to walk away. And they have made the decision, I want a divorce. So why are you telling me, unless you want to negotiate, I don't want to be with you anymore. Me, I want a divorce. I want the court to make a decision that marriage, it may fail. And that's exactly what we are saying. When we recognize that fact, Kibe, we are not saying that we are just lamenting and complaining. No, we are recognizing kuna shida. Na hii shida, tumesema it is ABCD. So, hakuna story mingi. The marriage between William Ruto and the government and Kenyans has failed. So we are not lamenting. We are just acknowledging the fact that the marriage has collapsed. We need a divorce. That's all we are asking. And part of that divorce is you go your way, we go our way. As simple as that. We are not asking for too much.
But even in a divorce, there's a negotiation. You must negotiate on who's taking what.
No.
But are we cutting this baby in half, or what's happening? Because
no.
There's not just walking away. There's not just walking away. Be honest. There's a negotiation. There are things to be split up here. Who's taking what?
No, Kibe, let me tell you. I am almost worried that this space that you have organized is trying to sanitize the displeasure against William Ruto. I hope not.
But why would you say that? Why would you say that? Because your displeasure is not my displeasure. So we can both agree that you have, again, remember, we're being, we're just being, how do they say it? We're being economic with how we're dealing with this. We're being very efficient. The word is efficient. Let's be very efficient with how we deal with this, because I cannot be a lawyer. Hold up. Let me get to the point. Because I am not a lawyer, so I cannot do what you do. Okay? So I will never know what you do. That's why I will let you do. And you of all people, Kwanzaa, you even know my relationship status. You know how things are on my side. So you more than anybody, you know the negotiation part of that, of the next step. So I'm not here trying to tell people, do not be annoyed at William Ruto or not, or the government is not good. I'm looking at what are we getting. That's all, bro. That's all I'm looking at. I'm looking at the business end of this conversation. What are we getting out of this? Are we getting something out of this? If not, then why are we even talking about it? If there's no if there's no part of the conversation where we win, then we just whiners. So we're just going to sit here in spaces day in, day out. 30, let me finish. I'm almost done, I swear.
I disagree with you, Andrew, but go on.
I'm almost done. Even if you disagree, just mute your mic. I'll give it to you. So we shall remain here as whiners and keep whining and keep whining and keep whining about things that we can change for ourselves. Because who are you whining to? Right now, when you talk and tell the president, oh, you chose the wrong cabinet. What does that mean? Seriously, just think about what that means. What does that mean? Where is the right cabinet? Where is the list of people that you suggested on that table that you can say, hey, you've screwed me? He's not screwed you because he is not dealing with you. You saw those people the day after. They had bashes in their respective constituencies. You saw them going to be celebrated by their people. So this should not lie to us that we are a majority. We need to organize. And that's where you are taking people away from, because you want people to remain in the emotion. And I'm saying, okay, good. The emotion is good because it brings us together. But beyond that, where is our win? So show me the win. That's why I keep taking you back, Daktari. I tell you, show us how we're getting him out beyond saying that he's going to resign. Give us that path.
Okay, so can I respond quickly, because I really need to go for my next meeting? May I?
Sure, Daktari, go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Kibe, let's not complicate this issue, because if I listen to you, you are trying to tell us that Kenyans should not call for Ruto's resignation. We should. The Constitution of Kenya says he can resign once he fails. But how does he resign? He resigns when there is public anger and public dissatisfaction of his performance as a president. And listen, Kibe, tell me, I don't know, convince me why you will fire your entire cabinet, then reinstate some people and not reinstate others. What is the explanation for either way? For firing and for reinstatement? So what the people of Kenya are saying is very clear. We don't want this government. It has happened elsewhere in the world before, that an entire government actually is dissolved and retires and we go into a fresh election. That's not rocket science, Andrew. And I think for us to keep on saying that...
Daktari, show us the path. Don't just tell us about it. Show us the path. Tomorrow is Tuesday. People are going to the streets. Stop talking like you're in a fantasy land. This is the path. You're a lawyer. You're a constitutional lawyer. You have helped the country with so many things. Give us the path. Tumeongea sana ya kutosha, bro. Tuambie kesho, fanyeni hivi na hivi, and the presidency is yours.
Kibe, let me tell you, revolutions do not have any sort of organization. Today, I say to you earlier in your forum, and I respect this forum very well, and thanks for hosting it. People have said that we don't trust this government of the day. Okay? Parliament is an appendage of the executive. So people are now invoking Article 1 of the Constitution. So if William Ruto and his cabinet were anything to go by as an executive, they must step down. That's what we are saying. They are saying that. And for me, once he steps down, and we need that pressure for him to step down. Once he resigns together with Gachagua and everybody else, let Wetangula preside as the president for the next 60 days. We go into fresh elections. Andrew, we want to elect you as a president. What's wrong with you? You can also run as president of Kenya. The problem with many of us here, including yourself, is that you think the leadership of this country is just about certain individuals. Tujitokeze, hata wewe jitokeze, ukuwe president wa Kenya. Kwani anyway, I have to leave.
I agree with you. Daktari, I know you have to go. Thank you for coming. And thank you for being such a sport for playing with us. We enjoy playing like this every morning. So if you get a chance, come by tomorrow.
I will. Anytime.
Andrew, can I ask a question? Maybe before he leaves, just one.
That's a good idea. Go ahead.
Thanks a lot. Santi, of course, Daktari, thanks a lot for being on the platform, and it's a pleasure, of course, to engage with you. Having, of course, played an instrumental role
Kibe, can I speak?
In the Constitution of Kenya. McKenna, just a minute. First, I want to pick from where Andrew left on matters on the matters actually taking advantage of the moment that we are in and actually propelling a certain direction for the youth that is tangible and that actually will have results. My question is, why are you not at this moment really rejuvenating your bill, the Punguza Mizigo bill, which was a good initiative? Of course, it spoke about the fiscal policy and reducing the fiscal plan in the country, and also maybe kupunguza the leaders in the country and MPs and such things. There was no political will by then. By now, you see a clear way. There's political will. You financed it of course, through your party. You financed it in the last cycle. Now you can rely on the finance that is actually revolving around the population now, or the youth who are staying. You've seen them raising money, a lot of donations. Then, if this bill then is amended, and you actually also challenge the conflict of interest bill that has already been passed in Senate, then probably you will be having tangible things to actually request the president to do. Then we will have the constitution amended, and then we'll have a tangible thing to actually arrive at through the movement. But now we have a situation where the movement is really sound, and the youths are actually out and they're all agitated. But the bigger diaspora, the elite in the society, all of you, the lawyers, we've now engaged in inciting the youth rather than actually showing them the way and showing them that no, this is the end point. So we are speaking of wishful things. We are saying Ruto will resign, but we are sure that he will not resign. So we are sure that Ruto will not resign, but we are hoping at one point he will resign. I think I also want to fault us, the people in the country. We've taken every lawyer to be a constitutional lawyer, and we've taken advice from any lawyer. We are now putting all our backs or all our expectations on the LSK, and we think they will interpret things for us. My thinking is, as you've said, let's take it back to the people. We, the people of Kenya, we, the population, the youth, we can now pass our grievances through bills. We can now say, we are now going to push for this amendment through your Punguza Mizigo bill was really a good one. You can amend it, let it actually input the current status of how things are now in the society. Of course, I would really love if you actually included the conflict of interest bill, because this thing for me it's absurd, because they go to parliament, then they cushion themselves in doing business actually with the government. And that's how we the people keep losing, because only the political class is doing business in the country that they are leading. So you are paying them to actually lead you. You elect them first to be in parliament, you pay them to lead you, you give them allowances to lead you, then they also now do business on your behalf, but the money they're doing business does not come to the population, it goes to their private accounts or to their families. Then that's where we have a problem. That's where the conflict is coming from. My question is, why not push your conflict of interest bill, while push your Punguza Mizigo bill, as you also include or advance it with the other bills and try to fight them? I leave it at that.
Okay, so quickly, I mean, just to say, guys, I really have to leave because I'm pressed for another meeting. I will reintroduce the Punguza Mizigo bill online. Comment I am more than happy to amend it as per your wishes, because we said this 5 years ago, 2019. People never listened to us. There was politics of patronage. That is what costed us. Today, if that bill had passed, we'll be talking of a different governance system. We'll be talking about 100 members of parliament, maybe 47 senators. We had even proposed to abolish the Senate because it was now proving to be useless. They are not looking after the counties. Women rep positions, nominations, and all those things, reducing commissions, the members of the commissions. I mean, just have a look at the bill. I'm more than happy to publish it anytime this week. Please have a look at it. Let's not now be emotional. Let's not look at it from, oh, Ninturukana ameleta hiyo bill. Let's look at it as a Kenyan who has brought the bill. Don't look at the party, look at the issues that we are raising. And I think I want to stop there and thank you all. And I'm sure I'll meet you again in other spaces. Thanks, Andrew, for the welcome.
Thanks, Doc. I want to say thank you for your input, and it's an eye opener for me, and I hope going forward we'll interact with you more on this basis.
Sawa. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye.
Hey, thanks Doc. Doc, asante sana kwa kuja na kutusikiza hapa sana. Tumeshukuru sana mno. I was having my 10 o'clock uji. Now, before we go, McKenna, I'll listen to you, but I want to hear from Maboko first. Maboko is one of the original listeners of this show, and not just listeners, contributors. Her first contribution was fire. I wish I could get it. But Maboko has some points she wants to put before us. Go ahead, Maboko, then we can go to McKenna Fatuma.
Thank you very much, Kibe. I was doing my best to bring my good manners. Good afternoon, everyone. I was very curious about the main question around how you would ask the first citizen, the president, to leave his position. I think that the doctor who was speaking spoke a lot around the Gen Z want Ruto out of the way or to leave. And, with the little that I know about politics, Andrew, I believe that every country or democratic country has a constitution. And within that constitution, there's always something that talks around impeaching a president or asking a president to leave. And there's always something that suggests that the voters cannot remove the president. They can't just ask him to leave. But maybe in their protests, they can make enough noise for that president to then say, I quit. So I was very curious because I wanted to know what the doctor suggests he'll be able to do. Because when I look at the fact that you guys have a constitution, I think even whilst I was listening, I tried to look it up. And there's a part that talks to Chapter 9, Article 145, that speaks around impeaching the president. But the cabinet or the assembly, National Assembly, needs to be able to raise accusations towards this president, whether there's a malpractice, whatever he has done. Somebody within that cabinet has to be able to lift up their hand and say, we want this guy out. And they have to have a consensus from other people within the National Assembly, even up to a third of that grouping, to say, yes, we have no confidence in this president, but he has to leave. But I wanted to understand from the Kenyan citizens, since I'm not a citizen, that, well, who would you then want to replace him? Are you looking to his vice president? Because I'm assuming the president of Kenya is already a party leader. If his party say, we have no confidence, he needs to quit, somebody within his party needs to replace him. in the next election or whatever, or the vice president needs to replace him. Are you guys happy with your vice president to replace him, or are you actually wanting to push for something much more than that, whether it's a by-election or something? Those are things that I wanted to understand, Andrew, that when people say they want this man to go, he's not been good for the country, how are they planning to do that constitutionally? Because if the protests don't work and he's not pressured by the protests and the outcry of the citizens, which is the only winning side for voters, then they have to look at the people who they elected into power, their ministers, their cabinet, the National Assembly. Do they have those people favoring them to say, we will help you to push this person out? Those are my questions, guys, that how are you going to do it? We had issues this side in England. We've had Rishi Sunak come in after the Camerons and them quit. And obviously, I think what has helped us is the fact that we had general elections that came up, and now a new government has been put in place. And we went through, I don't know, the natural process of election. But if you're going to push someone whilst they're still in term, do you guys recognize the pathway, and do you guys know how he can come out? Those are my questions, guys.
And here to answer the question is McKenna. McKenna,
Yes, Kibe, how are you?
are you educated enough to answer those questions? Me, Nemona, is a bit mbadala. I was going to give it to Albert.
Very, very educated.
Go ahead.
Very educated, Kibe. Now, the grounds for the process of impeaching the president is very clear in the constitution, and part of that is the parliament. You know, the Kenyan system is a bit different from the UK system, where you can even have 4 prime ministers in a year. In Kenya, it's it's more of parliamentary system. No, sorry, a presidential system. Now, what happens is, they can, he can be impeached by the parliament, but in Kenya we all know that the president has held the parliament by the balls. So there is no way the parliament is going, and he has the majority, so he has control over parliament, and there is no independence of the legislative system from the executive. So we don't trust the parliament to impeach the president. But again, the Constitution of Kenya gives Kenyans the powers to do so. In chapter 1 of the Constitution, it says that the sovereignty belongs to the people, and they shall exercise that in accordance with that Constitution. So either directly or indirectly. Okay, so in this case, the only way that the people of Kenya can do that and force the president out is by demonstrating and forcing him out, because they're the ones who put him there, and they have the powers to tell him, you're not doing us good and we want you to leave, because we cannot have any trust in you and your presidency. So the people of Kenya have the powers to do so, and they cannot give that powers to the parliament, because the parliament is in bed with the executive. So Kibe, I think I've answered Maboko.
Another addition, McKenna.
Yeah.
Can the citizens push for a recall of sort?
Yes, they can, but it has again to go through the parliament.
McKenna,
Yes.
I think the reality we are struggling to come to terms with is any route to impeach, remove, or we pray very hard that the president wakes up tomorrow and says, I've resigned. Unless we get a miracle, any route that goes through parliament, we need to come to terms and say it's impossible. Parliament will protect the president. Okay?
Yes, that is definite. Yeah.
Yes. What we need to, so that we move. You know, I've been in spaces, I'm hearing people say we need to impeach. And the people saying we impeach the president know how tedious that process is. It's actually impossible. I want us to say there are two things on the table, McKenna.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get negotiation points, which we go and say on these points, for instance, in terms of wages, let me rephrase myself. On terms of appointments, where the president wields the power, so we can effectively tell the president, we need you to call your PSs, to call your parastatal heads, to call your ministers and tell them, I'm going to reduce your salaries. Then call CSR or CRC, whatever, and tell
SRC.
them, yes, and tell them, I want salaries of all public servants, not all. Actually, let me say, he can say from a certain class going up, where we can clearly say people are being overpaid. I want these salaries reduced by this fraction, so that so that we are able to have some relief. Because one of the things that is really hammering Kenyans is the bad state of the economy. Okay? So if we continue the Mandamano way, as we are saying some people must suffer, now we are putting ourselves in a very tight spot. Actually, we are not punishing the president. We are punishing ourselves. So we need to look for a strategy where we start gaining some wins, which I feel is what we need to be going for. It's my suggestion. I don't want to look like I'm pushing it. But can you guide
Anthony,
me on that?
Anthony, there is a constitution which is very supreme that the president swore to protect and obey. But we all know that he has not been following that constitution. Which is this other document that you want to present to him, or demands that you want to present to him that you think he will listen to? He has not been
Okay, we
following
have
chapter 6 of the constitution, right? So he will tell you, I have a manifesto. You trusted me, you voted for me. Well, me and my party have a manifesto that we are following. So you cannot even go and tell him, appoint this. He will tell you, I have powers, I have a strategy, I know how to achieve this. So leave
But
me
you see,
alone.
the difference with this president, he actually engaged us when he was making that manifesto. If you remember, he visited all wards, then brought it up to the constituency level, and he would have these big tents or town hall meetings where he would engage people. So the same people now are saying, yes, you have a manifesto, which we made together. Remember the pregnant women, you were saying you'll give free diapers, and now you want to say the economy cannot allow. Those women have given birth. Lucky for you, they can afford their diapers. But what we are now saying is we want to change this, and this. You see, I believe the way Ruto ascended to power is a double-edged sword. He involved us. So we can equally go back to him and tell him, boss, you involved us. Now we are telling you to change A, B, C, and D. And where I'm seeing we have the silver lining is because the populace is with us. So when you talk about corruption, wage bill, the populace is with us. When we talk about reducing the public servants, we can say we want you to merge this parastatus, which is already doing, so that we shrink it. We want you people who have attained the age of retirement. We want an audit on that, so that we remove them. Okay, I feel those for me are wins which we can score immediately. That's just it. Sorry.
Anthony, do you think the president doesn't know these issues?
He does know,
Yeah.
but you see, the same way we know some of us know we are supposed to pay taxes, and we are forced to. You see, sometimes governance requires pressure. Okay? So and this is what James said. We are more of a pressure movement to tell him, Mr. President, we are talking about A, B, C, and D. And with this, we are saying this has to be acted on in a span of 3 weeks. Why am I saying it can be done in 3 weeks? Kibe keeps on telling people here, we did not have a slot for Prime Minister. It was created because there was public pressure. We do not have a position for senior cabinet secretary or whatever Mudavadi is, but it was created for convenience. So the same way you do such things outside the constitution, now we are telling you not to go outside, but work within the constitution. Because you remember, Ekuro Court has been saying here that what we want is simply him to apply or implement the constitution. So we tell him the constitution has a threshold off this number of this is the threshold for the civil servants in terms of age. Respectfully, sir, we are saying kama huyo mfanyikazi hajajipanga hata waijipanga, mtoe kwa serikali sasa, so that we have people moving up, clearing space at the bottom for people to move in. That can be achieved without parliament, without a referendum. Now, when it comes to talk about wages, we need to tell the president, but Mr. President, sir, the same way you ordered or CRC ordered a freeze on salaries, and previously you had said they can be adjusted up to reflect the economy. We are now saying that we can all agree the economy is not in a good place. Can CRC tell us how they have proved or how they can justify these salaries? If the salaries can move up to reflect the economy, I believe they can move down to reflect the same economy, because it doesn't make sense to all Kenyans. I'm just sorry. Makena.
Maliza.
I don't know whether I'm
Before tuende kwa Makena, before you go to Makena, I want to hear from Albert, because Makena is just as illiterate as I am. Albert, you want to help us with the Maboko question?
No, thanks a lot. Maboko, I think, asked on matters first if the president can be impeached. Definitely. I think McKenna had also some valid points by saying that actually we cannot impeach the president directly. It has to go through parliament. So there's no clause that actually allows us to step out and collect signatures and then impeach the president. The whole process has to go through parliament, and of course the parliament is already he has the majority in parliament under his party, and his party is actually not against him. His party still supports him. A few things I wanted to correct Anthony also. Anthony, the SRC is a Salary and Remuneration Commission. It's actually, the president has no power over the SRC. So you have to understand that these are institutions introduced in the constitution to actually control or to remove the powers from the presidency, so that a certain president will not come into office and favor his people and award them higher salaries than the others. So the president cannot tell the SRC to do something. The only power he has is during the appointment, and that's where he signs of who comes to the leadership, but then the SRC acts independently. I think if Maboko maybe could refresh one of the question, I think that she didn't get a full response on. Then I'll just give us a short response, and then we continue maybe from the other speakers.
Yeah, Albert, just to add to my question, and I think because both you and McKenna touched on the fact that around his political party, because I feel like there's always a window around the political party voting and no confidence for their leader. The reason why I'm raising this point, Albert, is because you guys have mentioned about him having a majority in parliament, and those majority were voted by the people, right? For his party to be in power, it's the people that voted. They voted those particular ministers on board. But if those ministers are nudged to say, we are not happy with how he's leading and how he's getting you guys do the job, surely they can sway him to be sacked or removed without parliament being involved, but more or less him being sacked from his party so that someone within the party takes over.
Maboko, really very nice. Wishful thinking for Kenya. I think that's something that we can never achieve now. A lot of the Kenyan political space is built around individuals. It's one big person who has the capital, who brings the people together, and then the party is built around them. I'll talk about Raila. We know what goes on the other end, and now Ruto, and it was Uhuru at that time. And then that's a political vehicle for that term. So in this term, Ruto built his political vehicle, the UDA, and then he brought on board, of course, every person who was elected under UDA. And the cabinet secretaries are appointed, so he has appointed them. He even withdrew some, and he actually reappointed them in the last days. but the members of parliament are all actually under allegiance to the party. And if we now would think that within the party they will now have a vote of no confidence, it's really not possible, because even within the party, he has this, like, he really controls almost everything within the party, the financing, almost like you. I can't even tell the second in hierarchy or the third in hierarchy within the party. The second in hierarchy within the party will be his deputy, who is now the deputy president. But even him, he wouldn't dare go against this. But I think we saw a situation like this in the Jubilee movement in the last year's election, in the last cycle, where they were in the same party, Jubilee, with the previous president. But then Ruto, of course, wanted to go away. Then in this moment, he didn't stay within the party, but he actually moved away and formed his own party. But this was also a political realignment during the last tenure of their leadership. So I think the Kenyan landscape on political parties is a bit really not straightforward, as it's not as advanced as the South African way, where maybe the party can come up and vote. Put a vote of no confidence to its own leader. So I think as a people, we actually stuck with this president until 2027. Only if maybe a lot of pressure is put and he resigns, then he will resign. But of course, if he resigns, then the second in command will be the deputy, who is also still under his party, or it will be also the Senate, the Speaker of the National Assembly, who is also under his party or under his affiliation. So then we won't see a change of leadership as soon as we think, if we actually achieved it. And I would also want to say this movement is really elite-led. This movement is more Twitter-driven, TikTok-driven. So it's the elite people that actually have led this movement a lot. And I wonder if it will be true on the ground, if really on the ground he doesn't have some sort of support. Because I think as the movement is elite-led, the movement has also not shown who will be the probable leader in case this person steps president, but we're not actually offering alternatives or alternative leaderships that people will look up to. Otherwise, we fall into an anarchy state, and it will be a very bad road to go down, probably also economically and also other people. This is what I think.
But then, Albert,
Yes, Albert.
when you say this, remember, he's not the only capable Kenyan of becoming the president of the country. So if Ruto is pushed out and his political party is pushed out, that does not mean that we cannot find another capable Kenyan. You're insulting the intelligence of the entire generation, that there's no one that is capable of leading the country?
No, I didn't actually say that. There are a lot who can lead the country, but then let's see them actually being floated now. Like, then we start seeing alternatives. But rather, if we now, what the argument is, we wait until the president steps down, and then now someone will come up. So definitely, who will come up? It will be Raila, or it will be the same political class that we've been pushing out.
Oh, no, Albert, you thinking like that is a very naive way of looking at things, because it doesn't have to be Raila Odinga, because the Gen Zs, remember at the beginning of the whole conversation, the Gen Zs were like, Raila, stay out of this and let us now do the things that the millennial and the Gen X were afraid of doing. It doesn't have to be Raila Odinga. It doesn't have to be any of the current existing people in the political class. It does not have to be.
It doesn't have to be, but we really vote on a popular like we vote we always follow the popular person in our politics, and it will be so wishful to think that someone will come up, Ruto will step down tomorrow, and someone will come up within 1 week or 2 weeks. Then they'll form policies that will align with the people, with the movement. Then they will be that popular enough, and then we will elect them to power. Trust me, I think this will be so wishful.
Albert, you and I are old enough to remember when the 2002 things were happening, and everyone was so tired of the Nyayo regime. When Kibaki presented himself, Raila joined the movement and everything. It's not always about who will lead this movement. It's about also when an opportunity presents itself, and then someone decides, oh, I'll present myself, and then people join that movement. The same way the millennial and the Gen X are joining the Gen Z's movement because they're like, we were not able to do this. Now this
Chris.
generation of Gen Zs are the ones stepping up to do the things that we were scared of doing. So
Mm.
when a candidate presents himself, people will join him. Now we are not looking at joining other candidates. We are
Chris,
looking at
Chris,
go on.
sorry,
Yes.
Kibaki was in leadership. He was, I think, a minister since Uhuru Kenyatta's time. He was in
Oh
leadership.
yes, oh yes, oh yes,
So,
yes.
so
Albert,
he
let me
wasn't
just add
really a new person.
before Chris jumps in. Chris,
Mhm.
I remember in 2002
Yeah.
when the 202 elections were happening. Remember, Kibaki had a party, Charity Ngilu had a party, Wamalo had a party, Raila Odinga had a party. So what
Yes.
at Uhuru Park, if you remember, the issue was when those guys met in a room, Raila Odinga understood that the masses were with Kibaki because he had sold this economic plan so well from way back into Moise from 1997 actually. So by the time Raila looked at and Raila is very good at seeing confusion and taking up the opportunity. He came out and says Kibaki tosha. You get? So it was to be Kibaki. They knew it. Because they knew it was to be Kibaki. The only difference between that time and now is that the candidate was there. Right now, as we enjoy the moment, like what we had in 2002, but we don't have a candidate. So even if Ruto was to resign today, or election was to be called after 60 days, Ruto resigns, we are given 60 days, we call a snap election. We don't have a candidate who we can say is a reflection of what the movement is asking for. You see, in 2002, there were candidates and manifestos that people could pick from. And it comes back to what Kibe started, the conversation Kibe started, that we need to have a skeleton of what we want. But every time someone mentions step down, the other word that you are mentioning is resign, impeach. We factory reset. We lose all the momentum we had and all the progress, and we go back again.
No, Anthony, don't look at things from that angle. Today, I choose to play the devil's advocate, and I'm willing to be crucified for this. Look,
Okay.
at any moment, when we have someone that presents themselves as a leader, we know what the government has done with the youth leaders in 1982 when the pressure was being mounted on President Moi to step down with his leadership. So at this moment, and this is the biggest challenge that President Ruto is facing at the moment, is does he know the people that he's dealing with? Bro, power moves in the silence, and that's why President Ruto does not know who to attack and where to attack. If today I, as Chris Basedeke, present myself as the leader of the Gen Zs, then you know what? He will not be feeling the pressure because now he has me to negotiate with. When Uhuru Kenyatta felt the pressure that the opposition and everything was against him, what did he do? He went and joined hands with his biggest enemy, which was political enemy, which was Raila Odinga. So Ruto will continue to face this challenge until the time that he steps down. Because anyway, and I will say this, he's still facing the biggest challenge, and the biggest challenge that he's facing at the moment is this. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we have people who are on the road and protesting and doing this. This thing is doing one big thing that is going to affect his presidency, whether he likes it or not, and it's going to affect the lives of the rest of us Kenyans. Here's the thing. When revenue is not being collected, running the government becomes a bit difficult. And that's why he's saying niliambia hawa watu wakuje huku hivi, hawakukuja, wakakuja kule X wakapotea. He thinks an individual is going to present himself up and be able to solve his own problems. And as I finish, I'll say this. President Moi said one thing, and I still remember it vigorously. He said, nguruwe hujikaanga kwa mafuta yake yenyewe. The current administration is full of wako na kiburi sana, na hiyo kiburi yao is the exact same thing that is melting them. Anthony, have the mic, or Andrew, or Albert,
Thank
or
you.
anyone.
Let me have the mic. And then Albert, go first if you want to have the mic, then I'll come after you.
Sorry to cut you guys short. Albert, just give me 1 minute before Chris goes. Anthony, you've given me an assignment. I am already halfway into it.
Thank you.
Can you again confirm that the 30 were to be the leaders of X spaces?
Can I confirm?
That the 30 guests who will be able to see the presidency were to be leaders of the different spaces. In this case,
That
you, Andrew, and Chris,
Not
and then we
leaders.
have
Why are you using
Cyprian
the
on
word
the other
leaders?
side, and then we have
host. Say host.
Kina.
Lutomia.
Host.
Be
I
very
was
careful with the
using
words you
that
pick.
word. Yeah. Anthony,
You know,
you know what
right
I
now
mean.
our word can karang. No, I know.
No,
The
no.
masses
I
don't know.
was losing that word. So host.
Good.
So that you can
Go on.
confirm.
Yeah. Kibe. We need to. Kibe, you agree?
There's no number, Lutomia. So
Okay.
the people will get. Yeah, we'll just get the people who are willing to to come through. Yeah, and not just from space. We'll even bring. There's some people from TikTok. So
TikTok.
we'll congregate as many as we can. Yeah.
Okay.
It will be a mix that will very well show that everyone was included.
Game short, man. So
thank you. You're saying something?
Yeah, I'm saying you've spent a lot of time, and there are ladies here, bro. I want to hear ladies.
I really want to hear Fatuma myself.
Bana.
Fatuma.
Go
ahead.
Let
me give the list.
Apana, Kibe and Anthony. No.
I'll say like what Kibe says. I will mute everyone.
No, Anthony. You guys were supposed.
Now, I'm going to open the mic and I'll give you time to articulate yourself. For now,
wait.
Write your point the way I've been
Anthony.
writing mine, and you come back. So we are giving Fatma your point and DK.
Chris.
We all know how to write. Chris, write your point. We cannot reduce this to a conversation between four people.
Chris, are you there? Umetuma Chris wapi?
You guys, who's this muting the space, Kibe?
How can you be muted as a co-host? Unamute aje ka co-host?
Bro, hey. I'm just surprised. How dare you guys muting your fellow?
I've always wanted to do that. It has given me the opportunity.
Anthony, don't do that. You don't mute Masedeke here. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, I want to respect Fatuma. I love what Fatuma brings in. So we have Fatuma. Then, Chris, you can pick the next. Then you can tell me your question after you've written it down. So, Fatma, the mic is yours. Then, Mwende.
Thank you, Anthony. And hi, Kibe. I think I've been listening for the longest time today. And I like where we are moving to, although we keep on being dragged back and forth. And the complaining and whining will not end. And I always say I come from Kenya too. My Kenya too is a different Kenya, where schools watu wanalan under the tree. We stopped complaining. There are no hospitals, there were no roads. We stopped complaining and started acting. And that is why today you find people from the north in government. At times, you need, like the way the movement is going now, we have fought the battle. It's almost going to a month. At least today we have some sort of leadership, and already a meeting is being organized. We need to have this conversation like yesterday. And Dr. Ekuru, although now he has left, he talked about a marriage which needs to go for divorce. I think this marriage has just cracks. I don't think it's over. If it was not over, we will not be asking Ruto to appoint new cabinet. There is something between him and Kenyans, some sort of contractual agreements. We are not happy with who he has appointed, but we were not at the table, as Kibe keeps on saying, to offer our candidacy or to offer our candidates. And for me, I feel it takes a team to win a game. And the whole team has to be playing in one direction. We can't be kicking the ball left, right, and center and expect to win a game. The team needs a captain. And today I'm thankful and glad I'm here today watching a space or listening to a space where we are talking about leadership. and we are bringing in others who want to stand on the sidelines and cheer and or just make noise. It's not enough to make the noise. The noise has to be guided. The noise has to be for a particular reason. Otherwise, others will take this space, and they have already taken. Raila has 1 feet already in government. He's only making demands to show us that he's speaking for us. No one asked him to speak for the Gen Z or anybody else on the spaces. So what I want to say is, can we pick the low-hanging fruits? And I will repeat this again and again. And what are the low-hanging fruits for me? The 11 left or the 13 left, I don't know how many positions are left. Can we negotiate at least to have the people who are credible to be in there, so that we don't complain because we have been involved in the discussion? We don't want to stand on the sidelines. We have to take the center stage. And I will end by saying, give me the ball, I'll score the goal myself. I'm tired of standing on the sidelines. I want to be in the team, and I want to be the one kicking the ball and scoring that goal. Thank you.
Hey, Fatuma, are you a lawyer? Fatuma, I'm talking to you.
I was, until I decided to play football. Because I felt the law corridors were too small. Literally, everything in the north is settled out of court. Murder is solved out of court. Divorces are sorted out of court. So I decided to go and play football.
Because the moment I'm hearing you saying, give me the ball and I'll score, I'm like, okay. This lawyer has decided to leave the law corridors. They are too small for her, and she wants the size of a football pitch for her to be able to do this.
Exactly.
But leadership is
And
never
we can
given.
have a
Leadership is
conversation
taken.
even through that.